views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody, welcome. I want to welcome you all to the show. It's great to have all of you tuning us in and turning us on. We got a great show for you right here. You know, cutting-edge methods to release stress. Yeah, get ready for a new radio show, Stress Buster Radio with Dave Dodge. Dave's going to join me here today. You're going to hear a bit about how he got to be where he is, why this is so important in the world we live in today, what the show is about, but also what he said yes to in his life, his passion, his purpose. You're going to hear about that. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Dave. And that is that he is somebody that said yes to showing up in service of other people. And what do I mean by that? I mean that he is showing up in service of helping others understand that they can have an amazing life. And sometimes you got to bust right through it. You know, he graduated from Columbia University, he completed a number of postgraduate programs, but this is to assist him and others in how they resolve issues. We know about issues, but do we know about cutting edge approaches to helping us move past the issues to live an amazing life? Dave, it's great to have you here. Welcome to the show.
It's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Well, let's start off with a chat about your journey. I gave folks just a little bit of a snippet, you know, to talk about what you've done and what you've decided to say yes to. But here we are on the edge of launching Stress Buster Radio. And I want to ask you, what has this journey been like for you? And by the way, what kind of stresses did you have to bust to get to be here in this very moment?
Wow, that's kind of a mouthful. And actually, to get to the last part first, I was just actually discussing with you how much stress I went through since I heard from you guys a couple of months ago and decided to do this radio show. I mean, I had asked the universe, I put out an intention for the universe to help me to put out and help more people. Since I was an adolescent, when I was an adolescent, that's when I started wanting to help people on a mass level. And I thought it was always going to be a relation to writing books. And so I've written, so it's kind of interesting because I've written the table of contents for about probably 6-7 books, but I haven't written the books yet. And so I was just talking with you before the show about, you know, going from this process of the dream state of dreaming about doing all this stuff and dreaming about helping all these people on this big level, but having so much stress that I was paralyzed for all this time and I couldn't get to the doing state. So actually the radio station is helping me get to the doing state, but in doing so, I had to deal with a whole bunch of stress in relation to exposing myself out to the world because I came from a very dysfunctional family, and I got screwed up when I was a kid, mentally and emotionally, as many people, many people, and I'm going to say most people, if not all people, and I'm going to say all people got screwed up in one way or another because that's part of the human condition. We're human, we're not perfect, we're not going to do it perfect, we're going to have our insecurities get in the way of no matter how good we are at bringing up kids. And I know that some of us are more screwed up than others, and certainly more people, there's people that are more screwed up than me. So my story is my story, but it doesn't take away from my pain and my journey to get where I am now. And so that's kind of certainly what inspired me was my own screwed upness. And I wanted to get out of my own screwed upness. I had a family. I had three parents. I had a mother, father, and stepfather. My mother divorced, it was part of the start of the trend of divorce back in the early 50s.
Yeah.
And when I was about 4 years old, when I was about 5 years old, she got remarried to this other guy who all three of them were pretty much very emotionally insecure, very didn't have a lot of growth in that area. All of the parents had very screwed up childhoods themselves. So it takes a very confident 20-something-year-old back then to be able to raise kids, to become confident, to become secure, safe, trusting the world, all that kind of stuff. So there's going to be a whole bunch of, and even now, even though it's gotten better, it's still, we're all still dealing with our screwed upness and how to do that. And so I went through my childhood, and I kind of built up anger over time. Didn't realize how much anger until I actually got out of the house, went off to college. And you talk about me graduating from Columbia. It took me 20 years and 4 colleges to get my bachelor's degree. So I didn't get my bachelor's degree until I was my early 40s. And then I got into Columbia because I was really psyched. I found out what I wanted, which was the social work thing and helping people and all that kind of stuff. So it was a major push forward in relation to doing. And I got into Columbia, and I got in with honors and got into who's who of colleges, universities. The reason why it took me 20 years and 4 colleges to get my bachelor's was because I thought I was stupid. Which was kind of silly because when I was in 6th grade going into 7th, my parents were told that I was going into honors. And I wasn't trying for it. I didn't know it existed. I didn't know what it was about. But it turned out that it kind of it intimidated everybody in my family. My stepfather was a factory worker, and he felt particularly insecure himself, and so he started calling me stupid in one way or another, 5 times a day, whether he said it straight out or he intimated it or whatever. My mother was she came from a country schoolhouse where they had 3 or 4 classes in one room, and she was valedictorian of her one-room schoolhouse. And so she kind of said to me at one point, she said, "You can be smart, but don't be smarter than me." And so that kind of, and then my older brother was having a lot of problems anyway, so I didn't want to compete with him. He was having a hard time also. So I made this contract that I wasn't going to compete with him, but it turned out that I made the contract that I wasn't going to compete with anybody, and I was going to stay small. So these pieces of my real self were given away in order for me to survive and be a part of the family, be a part of the tribe. And that obviously angered me a great deal, even though during my older brother was having a hard time. I felt bad for my mother because she was in a situation where, I didn't fully see the whole situation. She was adding to it, and I was defending her as being a victim, So anyway, when I left, go.
Well, what we're talking about here is how we get through the maze of things that happen to us in our lives, right? And then we get to show up as as absolutely incredible people with visions. And I think that's part of what we're talking about here today.
Okay.
But sometimes it's not like I did growing up in the Bronx. It's not like you wake up one day and you pitch a penny and you hope that that penny comes closest to the curb and therefore now you're a winner.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it's like that, but other times it's like, wait a minute, I'm pitching a penny, but wait a minute, my thumb is in a cast.
Right.
I'm not
Okay,
able
good
to
for
pitch
you. Wow.
that penny. So
Yeah.
let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about understanding stress. But before we jump over to a break, tell folks about the radio show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Radio show, yes. Stress Buster Radio, Dave Dodge. We're going to have some cutting edge methods. And when I say cutting edge methods, they're methods that are extremely effective and very easy, but little known to it's not a household. They aren't household words at this point because they either just started or they've just been out a little while. It takes a long time for new methods, new ideas to come into mainstream society. So I have some of those methods. I'm going to talk about those a little bit later. My show is going to be based on teaching you. They're all the methods that I'm going to be using are going to be self-applicable. So I'm going to teach the listeners how to apply them to themselves and to be able to learn. And then they're going to figure out which ones they like better and which ones they're going to use and what they're going to use them on. You can use them on any kind of anxiety or worry, fear, depression, guilt, shame, even physical pain, anything, any negative emotion that you got. Most negative emotions are not ours, and they come to us because of our environment when we were growing up. Similar to what I was talking about is that I got the impression I wasn't supposed to use my smarts. As a matter of fact, I was told. Yeah. So therefore, but it's not true that I'm not smart. And it took me decades to figure that out. After beating myself and hating myself for decades for not being able to put that together. So those are the pieces that we give away. Okay. So those are the pieces that we're going to uncover and dig out. Those are the good things and the negative things aren't ours. They were given to us. So they're going to be just as easily being able to be given away, to be given back, or to be released. And so that you can find your authentic self once again, your real self. So, it's going to be, the show's going to be every second Tuesday, 1 p.m. Pacific time and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time at this point.
Yeah.
And,
all right. Well, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking with Dave Dodge. Yeah, he's got a great new show coming up, everybody. Stress Buster Radio. You're going to be able to hear it on Transformation Talk Radio. When we come back, we're going to talk with him. Oh, wait. Understanding stress. Oh, and by the way, we're going to just touch upon that here today. And then during his first show, there are going to be handouts that are going to be provided for people. So this is really, if I say the word stress, all of you know what I'm talking about. Probably got that stress relief tea in front of you. Maybe not. Maybe you're pumping in the caffeine. Whatever it is, we'll tell you all about it when we come back.
When I want something more, someone more like me.
Brand consultant Jen Morgan is here with Radically Distinct Radio to help you take control of your future and maximize your brand's power to produce results. Whether you're an individual trying to reinvent yourself and launch a new venture, or you're an executive trying to reposition your company to modernize your sales and marketing programs, Jen Morgan and the RAD Method empower you to play to your strengths and show up in the world as your most powerful brand. To learn more, go to jenmorgan.com. That's Jen with 2 N's, Morgan.com, or call 206-972-5366.
Are you feeling stagnant or blocked in your love life, career, health, or finances? Experiencing difficulty focusing or setting and achieving goals? Tune in to Spiritual Diagnostics Radio with psychic visionary healers Carol Dorian and Suzanne Evans. Discover the cause and effect of unwanted patterns in life. Tune in every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit spiritualdeed.com.
Get ready to experience Truth Talk Radio with host Deb Acker. Tune in to Truth Talk Radio each Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com to illuminate the truth in your daily life as you experience life, love, and abundance from a whole new perspective. This hit show will leave you feeling lighter and bring you into a place of infinite possibilities every day in every way. Visit TruthTalkRadioshow.com for upcoming transformative topics and guests.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Artie Hoffman is the hottest psychic with the warmest heart and the host of the hit show Angels and Answers. A renowned psychic, medium, spiritual life coach, and an entertaining motivational speaker, Artie has helped over 15,000 people with his amazing intuitive gifts, his passion, and his humor. Call 877-ANGEL-02 to schedule a personal reading or to have your own psychic Artie party. That's 877-ANGEL-02. And visit artiehoffman.com and Angels and Answers on Facebook.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
Incomplete, but you see the colors in me like no one else. And behind your dark glasses, you're something else. And you're really lovely underneath it all. And you want to love me.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'm great to have Dave Dodge joining me here today. Great new show coming up, Stress Buster Radio. Dave is in the house. You know, he shared a little bit about his story, and I know many of us can relate to this. But, you know, this idea of stress, you know, clearly during his show, he's going to give you a lot of information. But Dave, let's get into the stress thing. You know, I'm sure you've had points in time in your life where, oh my gosh, you're like, I am completely overwhelmed. Or you're at a point in life which said, this just does not feel good. So how does your life reflect that? And how have you defined stress for yourself and people?
Okay. When I was I got out of the house and started my college career that lasted over 20 years. But and after the second year, actually, I decided I didn't want to. I quit school, and I started just doing manual labor jobs, and got involved with working with kids and adolescents in New York Hospital, actually, working with acting out adolescents. And I got this great job working with this great nurse, and we did a great job. But at some point, I'm not even sure why it was, and it wasn't said in a negative way, but it was suggested that it was a very healthy environment. So it was suggested, psychological environment. So it was suggested that if I wanted to work with the kids even better, that it would be good if I went and got my own therapy. So I went at 25, I went into my own therapy, and it turned out to be very good in the beginning because I had somebody to talk to. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate I had a Freudian therapist who just got out of his school, who was cheaper at the time. But a Freudian therapist doesn't give you a lot of feedback. They just sit there and kind of stare and whatever. But it worked because, to a certain degree, because I got to talk, and I got to talk to somebody about stuff that I don't talk to anybody else about. So that was a good thing. Turned out I stayed with him for 3 years, went to somebody else for a couple of years, then down the road, went to another gentleman for 5 years. So out of a 15-year span, I went talk therapy for about 10 years. But it turned out at the end of all that talk therapy, I still had the anger and the rage that I had 10 years prior. We didn't really hit on that because it was just, for whatever reason, talk therapy didn't go there. And I still had anxiety and my bouts of depression in relation to the ups and downs of the depression. So it didn't make sense to me that I still had all this stuff going on. So that kind of led me to my search of these other methods, which actually coincided with my getting into Columbia University and becoming a social worker and becoming a therapist, who had then could have access to the methods that I'm going to be showing people as we go. Methods such as EMDR, and I'm going to make it very clear. EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that straight, and I'm not going to show people how to do that straight because that can be a real roller coaster. And so there is a bilateral stimulation method that is part of that is very good, and they've found in the years since that it's also a very good relaxation technique. So that's going to be an integral part in what I'm going to be teaching. But and then there's this kind of evolution of EMDR, which is called brain spotting, which is where you actually find the spot in the brain where you're holding on to this trauma. Okay, and stress is going to be all about our trauma. We have our own stress signatures, and I call them stress signatures because they're going to be different for everybody. If you got 10 people in a room and you ask them what stress was for them, you're going to get 10 different definitions and 10 different set of symptoms, 10 different set of events that cause their stress, all that kind of thing, because it's totally different for everybody. So that's why it's been so hard in the beginning to get a clear definition of what stress was. But it's also very interesting because back in the 60s, a endocrinologist, somebody who deals with the study of hormones and that kind of thing, Hans Selye was the one that he coined stress back in 1936, but did not come up with a clear definition, a working definition of what that was until this gentleman, this psychologist named Richard Lazarus in the 60s, defined stress as the following. Stress is a condition or feeling experienced when a person perceives that the demands of a particular situation exceed the personal and social resources that individual is able to mobilize. Okay, so that it's kind of a heady kind of definition, but what it pretty much says is that if we feel like we don't have what it takes to meet the requirements of meeting a certain situation, something in our life, we're gonna get stressed from it. So if And
well,
so,
I mean, what we're talking about is, what I love about the definition that you put together right there is that what it does is it does not cast a judgment about what a particular stress item is for you, Dave. And the fact that stresses you means that it has to stress me. I may have totally other things that stress me.
Right, exactly.
Right.
That's how it's
but not yours is not right and mine's not wrong. Mine's not right and yours not wrong.
Right.
So what I hear you saying is that the work that you're doing with people is to meet them where they are. I mean, we know as individuals, all you need to do is participate in a little experiment, right? Where you're involved in something stressful. That's the whole heart map. People do this and take your blood pressure and look at what the heck is going on with you. Or be in a stressful situation and see how well you can thread a needle, right?
Right.
Yeah, try it out a little experiment for a minute. Do you have a visual of that, right?
Yeah,
there you are. You're right in the middle of a train track, and hand somebody a needle in there and say, thread that needle. Right. Now, there are some people that wouldn't bother.
Right.
Right. That's not their stress point. So
Right.
what I hear you saying is that, you're looking at, listen, we create our own perceptions. And so the work that you're doing, the show you're doing, is to meet people where they are. Wide range of experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
My childhood, and you know this, you're from the East Coast. My childhood, when I talk about it sometimes, my friends look at me and say, "Oh my God, that's so stressful." No,
Right.
no, I don't look at my childhood and think
Right.
about how stressful that was. No, no, I don't have that sense.
Okay.
So isn't what you're doing, right, going to help people understand how it affects us?
Right, and that's going to be a very big issue. Most people think that stress comes from outside of us.
Yeah.
Like my boss is stressing me out, my mother stressed me out, my teacher, the test, all that kind of stuff. If anything, it's not about judging individual people's stress and what they're stressed about, but it is what I found working with people is that sometimes it's easier to point outside and blame outside rather than it is to look inside and to be able to take responsibility for one's insecurities. Okay, so it's about being able to admit that we have insecurities to begin with and that we're screwed up to begin with, and it's okay to be screwed up because that's pretty much that's normal. It's normal to be screwed up, So it's the way that you're going to get better. Okay, so I have on my website, I have at stressbusterradio.com, I have the Stress Buster Radio Show, and underneath that it has some information handouts. And if you click on that, underneath you're going to find what the title is, the handouts were for the day, and underneath that are going to be the words of wisdom for that show. And the words of wisdom for this show is the Einstein's definition of insanity. Continuing to do the same thing, but expecting a different result.
Yeah.
So if you continue to do the same by pointing outside you that things are screwed up outside, and only if people would stop bugging you or people would stop coming into your space, then everything would be better. And that's not true because you're the one that's in control of that. But most people don't realize, and it's tougher to go inside. And I'm here to testify to that because, I was a rageaholic in my 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
It was so much easier for me to be angry than it was for me to get to the sadness. I didn't realize it was sadness, but I knew, but as soon as the sadness was a lot tougher for me to deal with than the anger. The anger was great. I didn't have to feel anything except anger, but the sadness was icky. So, but as soon as I started feeling the sadness, that's when I started getting better. Okay. And so that's when things started to move a little bit. And so then, I got to a point over the years of being able to embrace my sadness. And with the brain spotting in particular over the last 10 years, I was very grateful to find some more sadness because the more that I processed out the sadness, the less it was there. And more of the real me came out, and more of the confidence, and more of the happy, and more of the being able to be me came out. So it's kind of like exercising. I don't like to exercise during exercising itself, but I love the feeling afterwards. So it's kind of like, letting yourself feel some of these insecurities, and then letting yourself use some of these methods to release them is kind of what it's all about. And so the methods, so it's kind of interesting because the first thing that I did learn was EMDR. And that, like I said, it can be a roller coaster of emotions. You're going to release whatever negative stuff is connected to that trauma, but whoa, you're going to go on an emotional roller coaster as a result. But so then I went and I got trained in hypnosis because it was going to be a much easier way to be able to get people to, and then some people didn't want to lose control and go into hypnosis. So then I learned this other thing, which was a variation of the EFT, the emotional freedom techniques, and on and on and on.
Well, let's hold that thought because we want to take a break, and when we come back, we have plenty of time to talk about what some of these methods are, because what I love about what you're saying is, if you're going to do the kind of work that you do, Dave, you got to have a very robust, very, very robust toolkit. When we come back, we're going to talk about the many faces of stress. And then we're going to unleash this toolkit that Dave has developed. Now, you're only going to get a snippet today in the show because his show is dedicated to stress busting. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Days like this, I want to drive away. Pack my bags and watch your shadow fade.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Are you sick of feeling overworked with no motivation? Take a break from the daily grind. Life coach Nicole Eisler is here to provide a healing journey of optimism. Passionate and caring, Nicole is no ordinary soul. Her dedication to helping everyone has no limit. Witness the power of positivity. Tune in every first and third Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific for Positivity Party Radio with Nicole Eisler on Transformation Talk Radio. For more information, visit BigDreamAwakening.com.
Tune in to The Michael Shane Show, the third Tuesday of each month at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com, and connect with the ascended beings to raise your vibration and manifest the life you desire. Get ready to receive healing through the transphysical mediumship of Reverend Michael Shane and the ascended beings. Visit MichaelShane.com. That's MyChael, Shane.com, and call 425-971-6632 to schedule your full healing session now.
Have you been seeing numbers like 111 and 222 everywhere you go? Do you feel that the universe may be trying to get your attention, perhaps offering a message of some sort? As it turns out, numerical patterns and certain types of geometry form the very fabric of our reality, from cells under a microscope to the astronomy of our night sky. At Stellar Reflections, we offer special sessions which tap into these patterns, designed specifically to support you on your journey. The 111 and 222 activations are sessions activating new patterns in your energy field, which in turn can help you create new patterns in your life. After just one session with a practitioner, either in person or via distance, clients report gaining greater clarity, becoming more intuitive, and honoring their inner truth as they move forward in their lives. Curious about what these transformational sessions might do for you? Call 425-999-9836 or visit StellarReflections.com. That's StellarReflections.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's great to have all of you tune us in and turn us on. You know what I love about this? I'm excited. I'm excited about what Dave is going to do. I mean, Benny, we haven't been this excited since we did crust busting, right? We did a crust busting show.
I hear you.
Now we got Dave doing the stress busting. I love this because Dave, again, thank you for saying yes to doing this and helping people. Here's the thing. You are going to be able to bring even a lighter side to this because there are many faces of stress. And you and I touched upon this earlier Benny and I have been together for 14 years here, right? So here's the deal. There are some things that never bother me, right? Uh-huh. And there are some things that never bother Benny. And then in our 14-year period, there have been some things that have absolutely bothered both of us.
Right.
And it has to do with, I think, our roles in life. So Benny has 5 monitors in front of him. If you ever saw him, I think 5 or 6 monitors. And, and he and I were doing a little test before the show. And I said to him, Benny, that same little issue you have, we just did a test of our new technology and had the same issue. So here we are pulling our brains out the other day. If you'd have seen us doing our test of our technology, I can only imagine what Benny went through this morning. What I discovered in him sharing this little deal with me is it's got to be Skype. It's got to be a Skype redesign issue, because here we are in one room and it works. In the other room, it doesn't. And if you'd have been with us the other day in this technology that's taken 2 years to build, having done a previous test and not had the problem, and now 5 or 6 of us are on the test and it's not working. Can you imagine what was going on? So there are many faces to it. Tell us about the faces. And then later on, we may even skip the next break. Tell us later on, what the heck are we going to do? So what are the many faces of stress? Tell us.
Okay, when I talk about many faces of stress, I'm talking about how stress gets manifested in our life. And you wouldn't probably realize it. I certainly didn't realize it. Even working in the field for years, I didn't connect the direct connection between anxiety and stress, worry and stress, fear, depression, excess anger. My rageaholic thing back then had to do with my stress of not being able to express myself and not being allowed to express myself. Guilt, shame, any other negative emotion, even physical pain is connected. There's an emotional component to physical pain, and some people have just physical pain and no medical reason for it because they're stuffing their feelings. I've worked with a number of people who have been able to release this because they never knew that it was connected to just their emotions that they were stuffing. So we do some pretty intense things. We have some defense mechanisms that can be very strong. And those defense mechanisms, one of the most immature that they say is denial, but it also can be one of our strongest. And it's said that if our defense mechanisms are strong enough, it prevents us from getting better because our defense mechanisms are there to tell us that everything's okay. So then if we don't get the signs to know that we're anxious or depressed or, and we're stuffing feelings, then they come out in effects on the body. And it can cause arteriosclerosis, heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure, kidney failure, certainly attacks the immune system in every way. They're finding out, there's this study that's been going on for 20 years. It's called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study. And that I'm going to be talking about a great deal because that's where it all starts. Okay, so adverse childhood experiences. This is not about blaming anybody. This is not about, trying to make any parents feel bad or, get kids or children to get mad at their parents kind of stuff. It's about identifying what's going on. And it's not just with the kids or the parents. It's about the parents. It's about the grandparents. It affects us all that way. And that's what actually gives us our stress signature and our insecurities, and what pushes our buttons emotionally are these adverse childhood experiences. And so, again, my beautiful example of being told that I was stupid when it was the opposite that was true, that affected my life all the way up to now. Okay.
Yeah.
And helped to cause stress even before this radio station because, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So it's important. And that was a very intense conditioning that went on in my family for me. And I even became a black sheep of the family as a result of my intelligence. So that to get you, that's pretty weird. But
No, I
But
totally understand
yeah,
because I went through the same thing. And what happens with folks is, for me, growing up as a kid, the issue was I stuttered. And I stuttered, into my teenage years. And so
oh
when
wow,
you stutter, everybody
oh my
thinks you're
God,
slow. Well, back in the day what
yeah, right,
happened when people
of course.
stuttered.
And look
You
at you now, and
uh,
look at you now. Holy
can't
cow!
shut me up.
I know,
You
that's
can't.
so cool.
But
It's
this
so
is
cool.
what you're talking about, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're a beautiful example of using. There's kind of a spiritual journey that is there. It's kind of ironic that I got so screwed up as a kid, but I say in my bio also that it's ironic that I became this person who has all these methods now to help all these people to, and now have a radio show in order to help all these even more people to get over their negative stuff when they were growing up, kind of thing. So I used to hate that I got so screwed up, and now I realize that I love the fact that I got so screwed up because it made me who I am now. And because I worked with all those issues and I used all these methods to work on my issues. And so it was actually good that I got so screwed up that I had to work on all those methods. So, and I'm not saying I'm done. We're still working, we're still going. And so I was hoping at one point it was going to end, but I think it's kind of a lifelong process. And if you want to continue getting to the next level, you're going to, keep challenging yourself and keep challenging these old negative conditioning patterns. So, yeah. And if you don't, okay, and this, I don't want to put fear in you, but I want people to wake up to the fact that it's important to address their stress now, because otherwise, they're letting themselves kind of drift off into being a statistic. And, it's kind of scary because this adverse childhood experiences study has got some very clear proof. And so our society likes to have research, likes to have empirical evidence. And boy, it's coming out with some really good empirical evidence as to how those adverse childhood experiences can equal some pretty intense things later in life. The medical model is finally acknowledging that 70-80% of chronic illness and disease has got to do with stress. And they've never allowed themselves to, it's all been the genes and heredity and all this other kind of stuff until very recently. So it's good that the doors are opening and the knowledge is getting out. But those adverse childhood experiences affect us in every area of our life, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, career-wise, relationships with others in home and work, socially, all that. And could end up in illness, disease, and early death. Years are taken off your life if you don't. And I know that sounds pretty crazy, but the study has to do with 17,000 Kaiser Permanente insurance people, actually, who are middle class to upper middle class, white people mostly. So you wouldn't expect that those statistics are coming from that kind of population.
Yeah.
You would think that was a much lower class where we assume that kind of stuff happens anyway. But certainly the lower classes are getting it much more intensely. But it's across the board. Okay,
it is across the board.
Yeah, and it's affecting all of us across the board. It's not just the poor people that are, getting the illness and disease and early death stuff. It's everybody. So
well, and it is everybody, and that's really brings us back to talking with you about, okay, if it is everybody, how do you figure out what these cutting edge methods are and what we can do about them, right? So how do you make that distinction between relieving stress and releasing stress? I know you're going to talk lots more on your upcoming show.
Yeah, right.
But this is really where you're going to bring in all the tools.
Okay. Relieving stress is really good, and we need to do that. It's not one of my cutting edge methods, but just to give an example, exercising is an excellent relief method for stress. Okay. And so this bilateral stimulation, I don't know. You want to do a little experiment?
Let's see. We got about 8 minutes. Can you do it in 8?
We could we could do it in 8. I want to show you a relief. Releasing your stress is going to be about going back to those childhood traumas and actually using the methods that I have to release those childhood traumas. So much to say, and I'm going to say them in shows to come in relation to those negative, adverse childhood experiences create negative emotions, negative thoughts, beliefs, which equal negative emotions, equal negative dysfunctional behaviors. Okay. So it's about, but if you release the trauma that caused those negative thoughts, beliefs to begin with, you're going to let go of the negative thought, belief, the negative feelings, and the negative behavior, believe it or not. Some things are much more conditioned than others and take longer to release, but that's how you're going to release the stress, and you're going to release how your stress signature and how you handle stress in the future. Relieving stress. Are you stressed about anything right now?
Me?
Yeah.
Not at the moment. I'm not.
Nothing.
I never get
Okay.
stressed when I'm doing a radio because I'm in my zone.
Okay.
I'm in my zone. I'm the quarterback. I'm like Russell Wilson. No, I'm not Russell Wilson because he didn't win. But you know what I mean.
Do me a favor. Think about that thing about the Skype problem that you had before.
Oh, that thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
there we go.
So where do you feel that in your body?
I feel that in my brain.
Okay. And 0 to 10, 10 being the most intense, how much?
Today, not so very much. But if I go back to the other day, let's go back to the other day.
Yeah.
The other day, it was like about a 6. It was a 10 for Jessica, but it was a 6 for me.
Okay. So stay with that. And what I want you to do is we're going to do the butterfly hug. It's a bilateral stimulation method. It's from EMDR, but it's only a piece of EMDR. It's not the whole thing. So do me a favor, do a butterfly hug. Just hug yourself. And you're going to have your right hand over your left arm and your left hand over your right arm. And then I want you to start tapping alternately.
Okay.
All right. And I want you to think about this thing in your head, this thing about the Skype in your head that's up on a 6. And I want you to just spend a little time just focusing on that as your alternate tapping. Okay. And we're going to do this for about 30 seconds or a minute. And it's not a waste of time. It's going to be very pertinent. And you went, what does that mean?
That means that I was trying to figure out what the heck we were so stressed about the other day.
So
that was
what? Okay. So what number are you on now when you think about that situation?
Actually, that's what I was trying to say. I'm not even thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that dropped pretty quickly for you. And
it did.
Yeah. But do you believe that part of the bilateral tapping had anything to do with that?
Well, yeah, because if I'm tapping, I know I wasn't thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? Right there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I wasn't having that moment right there about it.
Okay. All right. So actually on my show, we're going to spend a lot more time in relation to doing that kind of thing.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's
Benny, I hope you did it. Benny, I hope you did some tapping on that. I know it's funny, isn't it? But I mean, this is really what we're talking about. You're going to be introducing people, the listeners, everybody tuning in to things that they can do right now, just like we did right now.
Exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. And you can apply them to yourself, and they're relatively simple and easy. Sometimes they're going to take a little time, 5, 10, 15 minutes for that bilateral thing. But it can release stress immediately. Okay. And you can do that alternate tapping. You can be at a meeting in a conference room in your business meeting, and you could be tapping your toes alternately on the floor under the desk. And it would provide the same thing, reduce the stress. So part of the thing about stress is that the more we're stressed, the more we're at hyper alert, and the more our frontal cortex isn't working. The frontal cortex is the part that is the one that makes our decisions and gives us the answers that we need to, follow through on tasks and stuff. So when we're super anxious, we don't get those answers. We're not allowing ourselves. We're in survival mode, but that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's about releasing that, and you can do that relatively quickly, especially if you learn how to do it and then practice it on a regular basis. Meditation's kind of a lot like that, but it takes a lot longer to get good at meditation. So this is what I'm talking about, is that these methods I'm going to be showing you are going to be a lot easier, a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So
Awesome.
yeah.
So tell folks again a little bit about when they can tune into the show, because we're getting ready to launch it here in a minute. So that's going to be kind of cool. And then what I'd love to be able to go back and do is talk a little bit about, how people can find out more about you, how they can find out websites and things like that. And, and I think it's important for folks to know that, today's show it's really an introduction, but what you're going to be moving forward and doing yourself is meeting people where they are, taking people through many conversations, and really showing people how they can create that change.
Okay. It's going to be my web. I have a number of websites right now. I'm just going to talk about the StressBusterRadio.com website, which is going to have most of the information, which is going to have the information that we're talking about on the radio show. I have a Facebook page. It's Stress Buster Radio with Dave Dodge. There, I would love to have people's comments in relation to what they like about the show, perhaps don't like about the show, what they want to hear more of, what they want to get more out of, to help to be kind of a guide for me to see where people are at. I also, the radio show is going to be on every second Tuesday of the month. It's going to be 1 o'clock Pacific time and 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And I'm very excited to be here. One thing that I didn't mention before about the many faces of stress was that there's a whole category of, there's acting out behaviors, there's avoidant behaviors, acting out behaviors in relation to how we handle stress, how we handle anxiety, how we handle anger, whatever. So there's it goes into overeating problems, weight problems. It goes into substance abuse and addiction problems. It goes into procrastination, people pleasing, perfectionism, workaholism, all kinds of isms. Shop till you drop, acting out in school, self-sabotaging behaviors, self-doubt, all that kind of stuff. So all of that is is the residual effects of stress. So if you're having a hard time dealing with your stress and you have any of these, and that's just to mention a few of the acting out avoidant behaviors. If you're having problems with those, again, it's going to be about needing to, or wanting, hopefully you want to deal with the stress so you don't have to go to those behaviors. I know I've been through my share of those behaviors, and I feel so much better now than I did then. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, we're talking about, helping people and bringing people, to the forefront of what's possible in their lives. And I know if many of you are listening to the show, then part of what we're talking about here is understanding that you can get some relief. That's really what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Right?
You can get some relief, and not only can get some relief, you can feel better in the long run by actually releasing it. I also on my website, acceleratedhealingsolutions.com, or any stressbusterradio.com, also you can get to the relaxation shop. Oh, one thing I didn't mention was that the relaxation shop I'm giving away a free bilateral that it's going to be sounds, left, right, as opposed to the butterfly hug, which we just demonstrated with Dr. Pat. But I'm going to give it away to give you an idea of how relaxing that those sounds can be. I'm actually giving away MP3 called Those Crazy Crickets. You want to keep it on a very low level. So I love the sound of crickets summer nights, and I'm trying to keep the summer alive because I'm not excited about the winter. But it's about going in there, downloading, going into that relaxation shop, scrolling down, getting the free download,
Yeah.
And trying it out yourself. Just download it, put it onto one of your devices. It's best with headphones. It's better with you got to have headphones
right.
in order to get the left-right thing going. If it irritates you at all, that just means that you got too much going on at the time, and you want to take it off. You want to take it off and try it later. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Object is to relax you, not to get you irritated. Okay.
Thank you. Hey, Dave, thank you so much for today. We're looking forward to your show. We're looking forward to the many, many ways you're going to share how you help people. Thank you for a great conversation today.
Dr. Pat, thank you very much for inviting me, and was very enjoyable. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Benny, thank you for pushing all the right buttons. We always love when you do that. And all of you out there, stay tuned. Dr. Friedemann Schaub coming up right now.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.